Blog Talk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Chrism, and I would like to welcome you to a conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2015. I'd like to welcome everybody who is here. I see we have Kundalini. Hello, this is in the chat room, everybody. And Vincent91's there. Hello, Vincent. Karuba is with us again. 2015. I'd like to welcome everybody who is here. I see we have... Wow. Kundalini. Hello, this is in the chat room, everybody. And Vincent91's there. Hello, Vincent. Karuba is with us again. I'd like to welcome everybody who is here. I don't know what's going on here.
Okay, you can hear that.
Yeah. Can you hear that too?
Have you another PC there? Yeah, I can. Have you another PC in the room?
No, well, yeah, but you know. Hello, this is in the chat room, everybody. And it's repeating.
Yeah.
This is weird. I don't know what's going on here.
Okay, you can hear that.
Can you hear that too?
Yeah,
Okay.
can you check in the chat room if they can hear that repeat? I don't have the chat room in front of me.
Yeah, but... So weird. And it just goes over and over and over.
I'm going to talk to Rosemary, Chrism, so
Go ahead.
she's online. Yeah, can you check in the chat room if they can hear that? I don't have the chat room in front of me.
Wow. It goes over and over and over. You gotta love Blog Talk. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Helly. Hi, Fast G. Hi, Guest 955. Hi, Mary G. Oh, my word. I'm going to log out of Skype, and I'm going to log back into the show here. Wow. Gotta love Blog Talk. Hi, Lauren. Hi.
Well. Uh-oh. Amelia? Eileen?
Testing, everyone.
Okay. Can you hear me, Chrism?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Chrism?
Yes, I hear you, Amelia.
Okay. Can you see the switchboard?
Switchboard, yes, I see the switchboard.
I can't see the switchboard. It's after going blank.
I love what you guys say, aft.
Can you hear me, Chrism?
Oh, no, it's still... I think it might be on your end, Amelia. Log out of Skype and then log back in.
Will do.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry this is happening. Not quite sure what is happening, but we're just getting all these repeats. Okay, I think... Oh, I don't know. This is just so not right. Yay. Sorry, I'm not quite sure. It's so strange. I'm going to try it on the telephone. So we'll come out of this. Hello.
Hi, Chrism.
Hello.
Can you hear me? That sounds good.
Of course. Repeating, though. I'm sure it's repeating again.
Has it been doing that since I left?
Yeah, it was.
This sounds okay. This sounds okay.
Wow.
Let me begin to speak and see how it sounds. Is that okay?
Yeah, do your thing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So apologies, everybody. And just want to say to those of you in the chat room, today I can't see you. John's computer is in for repair. I'm only using my iPad, and iPad doesn't allow access to the chat room. So, hi everyone. I know you're there. Lots of love. And Chrism, as far as I know, can see you. So he'll be able to keep an eye on the chat room. So I'll begin, as I usually do, by giving everybody the address that you can go to send a donation that supports the work that Chrism does. The place on the internet is www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, there you will see the donate button, and it's easy after that. Donations are very, very welcome, and donations are very, very necessary, in fact, for this work to continue. They are the only means of financial support that is given towards the CAS program. And so if you are in a position to donate, and if you can donate, and if you want to donate, well, then your donation will indeed be very, very welcome. Again, we say every week that there is no pressure on anybody to do so. There is another way to donate as well, and that's through a bank. So if you're interested in that, just drop me a line at kundalinimatters@gmail.com, and I can let you know how to do that. You can also donate through what's that other one called? Western Union. That can also be done. So again, if you need further information about alternative methods of donation, please contact me on kundalinimatters@gmail.com. But in the meantime, here again is the easiest and the most simple way to make your donation, and that's www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And that sounded good, guys. I don't think there was any repeating. I hope I'm actually still here, am I?
Keep going. So I'm trying to get on my phone.
Okay. So I can actually hear myself talking now. Oh, no, it's gone again. Okay. So what will I say? Well, I have had a very interesting week. Shaktipat, for those of you who have been part of it, and for those of you who don't know about it, finished this week. Chrism gives Shaktipat 4 times a year, and this was the end of the June or the summer Shaktipat. And Shaktipat begins 9 days before the 21st of June. It begins with Chrism placing the scatter field on each person that is participating. And what happens is we ask to participate, and in doing that we make a declaration that we're going to follow the safeties, because the safeties are a vital part of the agreement that we come into when we ask for the Shaktipat. And that lasts then for 9 days before the Shaktipat, during the whole of the 7-day Shaktipat, and for 9 days after the Shaktipat. And so Chrism has removed those scatter fields on the 6th of this month. And so another Shaktipat has come to an end, and as always, it has been a really wonderful and blessed event. Every Shaktipat that I have participated in has been very unique, very different. No 2 Shaktipats are ever the same. The Kundalini is aware of, my process and is in control of my process and my participation in that with my Kundalini. And so knows exactly what's needed for me in my process, and it is the same for everybody. So if we were to have a chat...
It's also influenced by your practice of the safeties, too.
Yes, it is. So, again, thank you, Chrism, and I just wanted to share that. And, while I'm filling up the time, are you ready to continue?
Tap dancing. You were tap dancing.
I was tap dancing. But you didn't. It's something that I like to talk about because every, 4 times a year, it is a part of my process that I really look forward to, Chrism. And it's very special because during this time, it is like a retreat. It is like a special time, that 7 days and even the 9 days before and the 9 days after, of a particular focus on the Kundalini and on my practice. And the Kundalini really communicates, and some days are beautifully blissful and tactile and it's all wonderful, and other days it's really, really challenging, depending on what the Kundalini deems is necessary for me, So, and I think most people find it that way because that has been discussed on the Shaktipat group, and I think that's everybody's experience. So if anybody's listening and they're interested...
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure. We'll talk about the Shaktipat, but I'd like to welcome Rosemary and Joey and Eileen, who have called in. And if anybody else would like to call in, the number is 347-934-0026. I'm getting a lot of echo here. Anybody else hearing the echo? Is it just me?
I'm hearing it a little bit, but it is nothing like it was, Chrism. Check with the people there on the chat room. Sometimes we hear it on the phones, but it's not heard on the PCs.
Oh, geez, I can totally hear myself.
Okay, but can you check? Can people on the chat room please let Chrism know?
Cole's
you are
typing.
seeing the chat room. Okay.
Mary Jean is typing, so we'll see what they say. No echo. It's very quiet. Well, here we go then. Amelia has brought up the subject of the quarterly Shaktipots, which are quite Shaktipots simply because quarterlies are always long distance, unless they tie in with a seminar that I'm doing, which has happened in the past. When we did the Kundalini gathering out here on the West Coast in Bodega Bay, that gathering that coincided with a quarterly Shaktipat. The Shaktipots for the quarterly are just getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. I'm starting to get maybe a little bit concerned because I see people are also responding very strongly to the scatter field. Sometimes I think they're responding more to the scatter field than they are to the Shaktipat. Strangely enough. I'm just going to turn the sound down a bit here now. Amelia, I'll be able to hear you so well at this point. So just letting you know, and it says, Cole Kundalini says, doesn't interfere with understanding, and Phil says, no echo. Well, so there we go. There we go. We will just continue. I'll go ahead and just turn that echo down for me, and I'm thankful that it's not disturbing people. The Shaktipots, of course, for me, I stay up until 3 in the morning, and I apply the Shaktipat then and there. I don't have to do that in a different way that is kind of like out of time and nonlinear, but I like to do it that way. It's quite something to see everybody's picture there on the Facebook group and the Yahoo group, which are the only 2 groups that I do that with. It's Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 Yahoo groups, and then of course Chrism Kundalini on the Facebook network. Chrism Kundalini Shaktipat, I think, is what the title is. So these are the two groups that I give Shaktipat on. Evidently, they seem to be helping people, and to me, that's the whole point. All right. So the Shaktipats happen on the equinox and the solstice events per year. So that's it 4 times per year. But and it also seems to keep, I think, a certain level of, I don't know, a kind of a celebration of Kundalini 4 times a year. And within this celebration, the Kundalini is exalted in such a personal way. You do the safeties. If you decide that you want to get a Shaktipat, then you have to declare that. You declare that with your picture and with an intention that says, I use Lasha here because she's sitting here. I, Lasha Cat, do hereby declare that I give Chrism permission to place scatter fields over my left paw and shoulder area, about 5 feet up, and I also declare that I'm going to practice the safeties every day, before the Shaktipat and during the Shaktipat. So help me, the God of all cats. That's how Lasha might say the declaration. Then, of course, you post a picture, a full-color picture of yourself from the shoulders up. Don't put any pets or babies or boyfriends or girlfriends into the picture. And don't wear sunglasses or glasses that hide your eyes, because sometimes I like to go through the optic nerve on a person. So, just so you know, this is kind of how I'm approaching the Shaktipat. The Shaktipat is free to a degree. It is free, but you still got to do the practice. If you don't practice the safeties, don't do the Shaktipat. Don't even sign up for it. The scatter field will give you some juice. That is apparent. The scatter field will give you some juice, but it's the Shaktipat that really gives you the main energy of Shaktipat. You're there, Centaur? Did I hear you just do something there?
I just, maybe you could ignore my tiny little cough or movement.
My God.
Yes, I was just going to...
OMG.
Yeah. It is such a
the
celebration, though. I agree with you, and an exaltation of the Kundalini. And I think for me, the Shaktipat is more, in inverted commas, powerful because I'm a private student of yours and I have a permanent scatter field. I think that's why, that's there all the time, is it not? I think for people who are coming...
Can you feel that connection or not?
Oh, yes, but I feel it all the time.
Well, good. Yeah, private students get the permanent scatter field. And if you want to be a private student, then I will suggest that you contact me or Santara and or Rosemary or Eileen or anybody that's a private student, and kind of ask them, oh my God, what's that like? Does he eat worms, or what are the terrible aspects of being a private student? It's always good to know before you commit, right? Unless, of course, you have the Kundalini and that you know that it's all about surrender and not about pre-planning that makes the difference. You don't get to plan for your, shall we say, for your experience to be exactly the way you would want it to be. You plan more for your experience to be the way the Kundalini in you wants it to be. Okay, so... typically when I do this radio show, there is no script. Lasha has her script, Amelia has her script, Brooks on the show, she has her script. People have their script, right? But I don't have a script, and neither do I get to choose the subject. Now, the subject for this for this conversation was actually chosen by Santara. And I have to say that I'm not so sure that it's going to stay on the subject of Shaktipat. I know she put it out there while dancing. And when you're tap dancing, you got to keep the rhythm and the flow and everything's got to kind of fit right in. And so she just inserted the Shaktipat to fill in her tap dancing sequence, and I'm very grateful for that. But I have a feeling I'm going to be taken away from that subject matter, and I'm going to come into the subject matter of downloads, of Kundalini awakening downloads. What happens to a person when the Kundalini comes up and all of a sudden you're just given knowledge about something that you've never really considered or really even studied before? All of a sudden, that knowledge gets downloaded into you. And the thing that I really want you to understand is this is the divine hand upon you. This is an aspect of grace that is giving you information, that is giving you training, that is giving you the things you need to know at that time of your awakening. It's very, very important. Now, Amelia, come on back. I saw you slip out of the red and into the blue. There you are. We have callers with questions.
We do, and my iPad is acting up, so it's not allowing me to tell you who's there. Caller 501 is Dr. Jan. She's just listening. And caller 321 from Florida is Jeannie. She's just listening, but she will press a button if she has a question.
And then?
No, there's no questions. 501 is Dr. Jan. She said hello, but she's
Dr. Jan, Dr. Jan. She's such a sweetheart. Any Kundalini awakened people in the Arkansas area, I want you to make a point to go to what's the main city in Arkansas? Let me ask Dr. Jan here.
Little Rock?
Little Rock.
Hey, Dr. Jan.
Hey, Chrism.
Hey, how are you, my
I am
dear?
good, thanks.
I'm telling everybody to go visit you in Little Rock.
Okay. Great.
Now,
Love
Dr.
Kundalini
Jan,
people to visit me.
now, what kind of a doctor are you, if you don't mind exposing yourself?
Oh, no, I'm a psychologist.
You're a psychologist?
Yep.
And you have been treating me for delusions of grandeur for how long?
Hopelessly.
and so now you're a do you mind if I ask you a question? So do you run into people in Little Rock in the Arkansas area that have Kundalini symptoms and they come to you describing fairly obvious Kundalini symptoms, or no?
I've only had one.
Wow. How many years in the area?
A lot.
Like at least 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So everybody, that should tell you how rare Kundalini is in the general population. Am I right, Dr. Chan?
Yes.
I mean, this is a doctor who specializes in, people that have the complaints that a Kundalini awakening would bring. Dr. Jan?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. It's kind of going in and out a little bit.
All right, I'm going to put you back.
Okay, thanks. Good talking to you. Good listening.
Much, good to hear you. So that's Little Rock. That's Dr. Jan in Little Rock. If anybody needs a psychologist, and I mean anybody, around this world, you get a hold of me, and I will get a hold of Dr. Jan, and we'll see if we can arrange a meeting, at least by Skype or something like that. Because Dr. Jan, she has the Kundalini. Think about this. Dr. Jan is a psychologist working with people in the public, an awakened psychologist. How cool is that? So I tip my hat to you, Dr. Jan. And I see we have Jenny listening, and Looks like she's out of Florida then, I guess. Okay. So I am turning this towards the sudden bursts of knowledge and information that a person can have from direct inundation by the Kundalini. So let's just say that the Kundalini comes up in a person. You know, they have the Chrism, they have fragmentations. They're, you know, having a really difficult time, having a hard time, and can't keep a job. They can't do anything that they used to do in their old life, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, they get a total knowledge download about something that they have never studied. For Gopi Krishna, it was language. He would get a download of languages quite often. Pardon us, Lasha is now walking across. Her holiness is woke. Now she changed her mind. Come, sweeter. All right. So Gopi Krishna would get downloads of languages that he could speak. Other people would get downloads of specific knowledge. For me, the downloads I would get most often, say about 10 years ago, would be about Kundalini awakening, about the awakening procedure, how it can affect a person, the different ways. Most of the ways I had experienced myself. Not all the ways, but most of the ways I had experienced myself. So, for instance, not being a woman and not, having the parking meter syndrome, which is, having that orgasm every parking meter that you come to and lean on. I can't really tell that from my own personal, authentic experience. But the Kundalini is what filled me in on that, and this is exactly how it does with a lot of people. I know some people, they'll get information about tantric techniques, or they'll get information of, that pertains to their own Kundalini awakening equation. So it's very important for people to understand that you get information that you didn't have to go to school to receive. It's important for you to remember that. You don't have to go to school to receive information from the Kundalini. It'll just come straight into your head. All of a sudden, you'll know about how to weld a pipe, if that's what the Kundalini wants you to know. You'll know how to weld a pipe. You'll know how to ride a horse. You'll know how to play the piano. You'll know how to do certain things that normally a person would have to study very, very copiously in order to get down. And the Kundalini brings this to you instantly. Now, it's not doing that with all knowledge. It's very, very specialized, I've noticed, with people. People have to, first of all, be open to receiving the knowledge, number one. And then, as they're open to receiving the knowledge, they're trusting the knowledge. You see, that's the next step, is to learn how to trust that knowledge. And, what good is knowledge to you if you don't trust its veracity? You understand what I'm saying? If you don't trust what the Kundalini is giving you knowledge-wise, then it's useless to you. So it's really, really very important for you to trust what the Kundalini is telling you. So for instance, if you're doing the safeties and all of a sudden you get an intuitive download of information that says, oh my gosh, you may want to look again about how you're doing the fourth Tibetan, the table. And this is the one that most of the people will have a problem with, is the fourth Tibetan. And not surprising that specific Tibetan deals with the heart. And most of the population have, specific areas of the heart that they're working on in this lifetime. And so it's very important for them to trust the information that the Kundalini is giving and look on the videos and make sure that you're doing that fourth Tibetan correctly. And that's just an example of a corrective download that the Kundalini might send an individual. Now, I haven't said welcome to our guests in the chat room yet because of all this weirdness with Blog Talk. So I'd like to say hello to Atlanta Seeker. Hello. Fastji, hello. Guest 955, guest 969. Hello. Heli Hainonen, hello Heli. Lauren White, hello Lauren. Mary Jean, hello Mary Jean. Phil Karuba, I remember saying hello to you. Vincent 91 and Cole Kundalini, hello, and welcome everybody. And welcome everyone who is listening in the archives. If you're listening this far into the show, you've gotten through some of the weirdness that we discovered in the beginning of the show. And thank you for your continued interest. And thank you also, everybody, for your patience with Blog Talk Radio. It's always a mystery how the radio program is going to be given out technically. And today is one of those very, very interesting technical glitches that will sometimes cancel the show. We've had to cancel the show because Blog Talk, is just kind of going nuts sometimes. And so thank you, everyone who is listening on the computer. Everybody's listening in the chat room. Everybody's listening on the telephone. Thank you very much for your longevity of interest. And so I will continue with this subject of downloads. You'll be given downloads that your brain doesn't get. You'll be given downloads like that just go to your fingers. So, for instance, let me give you an example. Never having had really good transportation or sets of wheels in my life, I've had to learn how to work on vehicles like on the side of the road or on the side of the freeway or at a gas station or somewhere while I'm on the way. I've had to push start vehicles that I was living in, like VWs and whatnot. And so not being a mechanic, never studying mechanics or anything like that, I've had to learn basically just through the Kundalini about what to do, what not to do. And so she would download into my hands, and my hands and fingers would go right to where the problem was or where I needed to go inside the engine to at least get it going. And that is another thing that can happen for you. It can download just to your eyes so that you begin to take in certain levels of visual information in a different way, in an exalted pattern. The same thing happens with any of the senses. You begin to hear an exalted form, or you'll actually hear a spoken instruction, but that's not typically Kundalini. That's typically more of an entity type of thing. And so you want to be very careful with what you're hearing, like a bodiless voice that's saying, "Oh, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt obey every command." If you're hearing something like that, just shut it off. Put some good music on or something like that, because that is just an entity. That is strictly an entity that is trying to make a power grab onto you. The Lord God does not need to speak like Cecil B. DeMille. This isn't the Ten Commandments. This isn't Hollywood. The Lord God comes straight to you and right through the Shakti Kundalini. So the Lord thy God can often sound just like a woman. Okay? But typically, the communication from divinity is very, very subtle and yet very, very clear. And it doesn't typically use a voice. It typically will use a vision or a knowingness, a very, very strong intuitive knowing. So you want to make sure that if you hear a voice, just turn it off, change the channel, change the radio station, put a different CD in, okay, and don't pay any attention to a voice that is making a power grab or just saying, "Hey," let me see, I'll use Fashti. "Hey, Fashti, if you just do a little bit of a corrupting influence to this person over there, then you can get a lot of power over them, and isn't that what we all want, is power over another person?" So, you already know that's a corrupting force, and so you already know to just ignore that. For a lot of you that are in the Kundalini right now, Lorne and Cole and Haile and Fashti and Lemsiger, you guys know, if you've had the entity experience, you know kind of already what it feels like to have a discarnate spirit or entity or a corrupting force try to push its way into your equation, it's very important that you don't allow that to occur. And one of the things that you do to not allow that to occur is to not take anything that is said seriously. You don't want to take it seriously because all it is something there to distract you. In a way, you're being tested by the Kundalini at your level of openness to being distracted, to being taken off of the path, to being waylaid, and to have your attention taken off of the other really good, obvious things that you need to pay attention to. So it's very, very important that as you understand the whole ideology of the whole system behind a download, that the download isn't typically given through the vocal means, which, and I say typically because, sometimes it will be. Excuse me, I fixed my chair here. Sometimes it will be given that way. And, I'd like to welcome Madeva Sadvi. Hello, Madeva. I think that means my Devi. I'm not quite sure. Madeva. Anyway, hi, Deva Sadvi. So it's very, very important for people to understand that the download, even though it's not typically given in a voice, sometimes you will hear the Shakti in very simple ways give you an instruction to do something or to know about something. Now, and it can happen at any time. These downloads can happen when you're making love with your spouse, when you're driving on the freeway, we don't get to pick the time when these downloads occur. Okay. We just have to be open to them when they do occur. And the one thing that I'll be very, very, very clear about is always have some sort of a recording device available to you. Like these iPhones are great for that. So if you have an iPhone or any kind of a smartphone, I guess, if you have a smartphone, they typically have a voice recorder on it. And you get that download, say, while you're on the road or while you're, at the office or, at the job, doing whatever you do, you get that download. You want to get that onto a recording medium as quickly as you can because these downloads will not last, my friends. These downloads are more fragile than a dream. If you don't get that download recorded onto some medium, whether it's a pen and paper or into a vocal recording or whatever you use, then you're going to forget it. I guarantee you will forget it, and that knowledge will have slipped out of your equation. And now, I won't say that the Kundalini will never ever repeat it. I'm not saying that. Coming back here to Blog Talk, not saying, hey. Wow, there's no, wow, hey, do you hear it? There's no repeat anymore. The repeater got turned off. Interesting.
Okay, good.
I think there you are. I thought you might be elsewhere in the house. I'll put you back in the blue.
Okay.
So the repeater got turned off. Yay. So you need to get that download recorded in some fashion. For me, as some of you know, I write music a lot. I have I hear music and I write it down, and I'm able to put it on a recording medium. I have learned through my long association with this that if I don't record the music in some way, in some medium, I usually do a vocal, I'll just sing it in, it's gone. It's gone. And Kundalini gives me music. Gives me music to make into a CD, and I have to be very, very careful that I record that music and keep that sharp. And I do that. And let's see, Santara, if you can go down to the bottom of the board, we have a new caller with a bunch of ones, and so maybe you can see if they have a question or something like that. So thank you. So the downloads will come to you at any time of the day or night. Sometimes you'll be awakened from a deep sleep with a very specific download that the Kundalini wants to give to you. Accept it and write it down. Record the knowledge, record the song, record the music, record the idea, so that you're able to begin to build a bridge between the Kundalini communicating with you and you responding to that communication. So the bridge becomes a stronger physical format for you, physical, mental, emotional format with you. So if you have any questions about the downloads or building that bridge, give me a call at 347-934-0026, and we'll have a chat about that. With these downloads, they can come very, very quick. If you're in an emergency situation and you don't know what to do, you don't know what rock to grab onto as you're dangling on a 5,000-foot precipice and the wind is blowing you and you're starting to lose your grip, and you go, Kundalini, where's the exit? And then it will tell you. I would trust that. I would go with that intuition, because if you don't, you may see the Kundalini a lot sooner than you otherwise would. You're speaking to a guy who used to work in Yosemite National Park, where you have those 5,000-foot cliffs. So the download is very, very important for people to pay attention to, and I want you to pay attention with that. Santara, do you have a questioner?
Yes, Chrism. I'm having a problem writing the names. So 111 is Beatrice. So whenever you're ready, she has a question. You've spoken with Beatrice before on the show.
All right, bringing her in, putting you in the blue, my dear. Hello, Beatrice. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing just well.
Just well, as opposed to very well?
Doing fine. I called because I had a question that I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to know if maybe you might know the meaning to what I was going through physically.
Okay.
I've spoken to you before in the past, and I had told you that I've been activated with the Kundalini since 2013. And now I could feel like the energy, the Kundalini energy, like rising to my throat chakra. And I've noticed that my voice has changed a lot, the sound of it. It's much deeper. It just sounds different. Can the Kundalini energy do that to the throat chakra?
Well, Beatrice, I've been holding back myself, you know. It's just like, I thought I was talking to me when you picked up the phone. Kidding. Just a joke.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds deep like that, so
Hello,
my voice got deeper.
My name is Misty.
So yeah, the timbre of the voice can change for sure.
Okay.
But it may not be a permanent change. You see, it may change just for a little bit, and then it will change back into your normal feminine voice. Okay. So.
Okay.
So don't worry. I mean, if you start to grow massive amount of chest hair and things like that, give me a call back.
Well, I don't think so. But if I did, I would call you back right away if that happens. There was another thing too that I wanted to ask. 3 days ago, I noticed now like pressure. Like a bubbling sensation above like my eyebrow area, and my eyes were kind of like tearing a lot and puffy and a little swollen. It didn't last that long. I'll say, like, for one day, by nighttime, my eyes were, like, back to normal. But what is that an indication that something is happening there with the Kundalini?
Well, sometimes
in
it
that
can be.
area of my head.
Now, do you find an irritation like conjunctivitis or anything like that?
No. Well, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't really explain what that. It was kind of like just teary and swollen and puffy, and then by nighttime it disappeared. So it wasn't uncomfortable. It wasn't an uncomfortable feeling, but I noticed it right away when I woke up in the morning.
That can be a change in the eyes itself that are being given by the Kundalini. So typically, if something goes wrong with a body part or something like that, and it's Kundalini related, it will go wrong and then it will get fixed.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes it goes wrong just so it can get fixed. Sometimes you're being tested in your trust of this process, your trust of the Kundalini. Sometimes you're being, given into those areas of trust that are hugely important to the process. I mean, so for instance, your eyes start to go a little haywire. You start getting tears, and maybe the mucus and the tears, they weld the eyes shut for a little while. I mean, we've all had that to some degree in our life. The Kundalini will not damage the body, but it will change the body. Not only will it change the physical body, like the physical manifestation of the eyes, but it will also change the psychological and the emotional and the mental aspect of the mind. So, for instance, you may all of a sudden begin to see beauty in a way that you have never seen it before. And this will have a direct effect on the eyes. And I'm writing a book right now about Kundalini diet. But it doesn't deal with just, the food you eat. It also deals with the food that you feed your eyes. The food that you feed your ears and things of that nature. And these are also food sources for the Kundalini. These are also energetic sources for the Kundalini, and that will all be in the book. And so as that is occurring, you need to really surrender yourself completely to the Kundalini. Now, a lot of people, some of the lucky ones with the Kundalini, they'll get a fragmentation. And I say they're lucky because they don't have an opportunity not to have it. It's pushed on them, it's forced on them, and they don't have the ability to turn it off.
It's the opposite with me.
Yeah.
It's the opposite with me, because the moment that I found out that I had Kundalini, I completely surrendered. And I worked with the Kundalini by meditating and praying. And whenever I see, like what I had just explained to you with my eyes, I said to myself, there's no need for me to see a doctor. This is something that is happening to me physically because of the Kundalini, because he's changing something inside of me. But I didn't put doubt. What I wanted was to know if you ever had, I know that you have students or any of them who've had this type of symptom before, like
tearing
to know.
in the eyes? Oh, yes, absolutely.
Like the puffiness and the swollen.
Looks like you have bags under your eyes, right?
Yes, only for one day, and then they disappeared. And
right.
I wasn't stressed out or worried. I just knew that it was just a process that I'm going through at this moment with the Kundalini. And since I feel the energy now by my throat, I said I feel that I'm getting closer to an awakening.
A spinal? You say you're getting closer to a spinal sweep?
Yes, that's what I feel, because I feel my spine moving back and forth. my tailbone, like wagging side to side, and
do you get hungry when you see a mouse? Kidding.
No, not a mouse. But I see these changes happening for me, and I just, I have been feeling hungry, but I have at times I feel hungry, huge appetite, and then there's at times where I just have very small meals. So I don't know if at this point, if the energy comes to my throat, am I supposed to start feeling more hungry?
No, not necessarily.
Because I don't, I've been eating normally, but yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to know, if this was something that is common, for the eyes to be puffy.
It is. As a matter of fact, Mary Jean is writing on the chat room, and she says, I've had this happen with my eyes, and my eyesight has improved to the point where I don't really need my glasses anymore.
Oh.
There you go.
I do read. I do have reading glasses that I used to read.
Yeah, well, you may not need those anymore.
Oh, another thing too that I wanted to tell you. I discovered from listening to one of your videos about that the Kundalini can heal other people, and I have relatives in my family that have like medical issues, and I have been meditating over them, and I have not me, the Kundalini has healed them, and has taken away. Like my mother, she has a fractured spine and a slip disc, and she's always in constant pain. And her doctor had told her that this chronic pain she's going to have to live with for the rest of her life. And medications, nothing has helped her. And I started meditating over my mother, and her pain is gone completely. She was without pain for 3 months, and then the pain came back again. And I meditated over her again, and again, pain is disappeared, gone. What I was going to say, that with the meditation, I asked permission with my mother to do it, but I'm not too sure if in one of your videos you said that it's not good to, how can I say, that you have to ask permission with the person before you can do it?
Well, yeah, you want to have permission first if you're going to do any kind of, like, say, if you're being drawn to give healing or something like that. Now, to give prayer, you don't have to get permission to do prayer work at all.
Okay.
That's the big difference. Prayer work does not require permission. Physical modulation of a person's body, now that begins to come into a karma. Sometimes a person
that's what I remember.
Because they have karma. And sometimes they need to be sick. Not because they need to be sick, but because their family needs to have them sick.
Yes.
Their family they're being tested on how much they have compassion, how much they care, how much they're willing to sacrifice in order to help this person get better, right?
Yes.
So sometimes that is what is occurring with an illness, and the same with a death. It's the death of a child, say, in a person's life. It's not so much about the child. The child's doing fine, even though the child is dead. The spirit that child is has not ended at all. It's just it's part of the testing for the entire family. How much and how much karma is being burned by that type of a thing happening. And I'm going to ask Amelia to to have a look at our new caller, and maybe she doesn't know. Yeah, Amelia, there's a new caller down on the bottom, 347 area code. And we also have a question mark against an 805, which I believe would be Josephine there. Yeah, that's just hello, Josephine. Definitely do the meditation. You see, I like meditation next to an ill parent or an ill spouse or an ill family member, simply because you're just meditating. Unless you're inserting prayers in there, Beatrice, if you're just meditating, being at one.
I do. I meditate. I say Om, I'll say Om, and then I will pray. I'll say Our Father, who are in heaven, and then I'll say other prayers, and then I'll focus on the person in the area where the pain is at, and that's where I would concentrate on.
Yeah, this is not meditation.
Is this fine? Is this okay for me to do it that way?
It's not meditation, though. I mean, that's not
okay.
meditation.
It's not meditation.
It would be basically praying and then maybe following your Kundalini intuition about where that pain is, but you want to be very, very clear that you get permission to do that stuff.
I do ask for permission first. I also, my boyfriend, he has Kundalini, but he was activated 3-4 months ago. He has pain in his legs, and because he stands for many long hours at his job, and he told me that he had pain in his legs, and I had, prayed. But I didn't do it. I didn't do it where he was physically in front of me. I did it with a photograph, and I just put my hands over the photograph, and I told him what I was going to do, and he accepted it, and the pain had disappeared.
Right now.
So is this okay too? I mean, he has Kundalini.
Well, no. I mean, whether a person has Kundalini or not doesn't mean that you're not asking permission to do anything with them, right? You still have to get permission.
Right. I asked him for permission, and he said, yes, go ahead.
There you go. But don't think that, I want you to really look clearly about this and try not to get the idea that you're controlling the Kundalini. Kundalini is doing the work. You are the vessel. You are that person that the Kundalini is working through.
Right, because when I had did the prayer over the person, like my mother and my boyfriend, I did it also for my stepdad. I always tell them, don't thank me, thank the Kundalini, because it's not me who can do this. It's the Kundalini that does the healing.
Exactly.
The Kundalini is just working through me to heal them. I don't take recognition for what I do.
Because it's not you that's doing it. So nicely done.
Right.
Nicely done. That's the right attitude. You got it.
Another thing, too, that I wanted to ask you, by me meditating over or praying over my family to transfer, like, the energy, the Kundalini energy, through them to heal them, does this in some kind of way help to move the energy through me?
Well, when you give a healing, you get a healing.
Oh, I see. So
now, here's another aspect to this that Phil Karuba writes in the chat room. He says, I have been using Chrism's power prayer lately, and I'm sure it's working thus far. And Kundalini in that context is called the Alma Kua. And Beatrice, I would suggest that you go into the archives and you listen to that show. That can be a very, very, very powerful way to give prayer, but to have it's a greater level of balance. The Huna prayer is. That's what it is. It's a Huna type of prayer.
Huna
Huna.
prayer?
Yeah, it's a Huna prayer. It's called a power prayer. And it's in the archives there. I remember teaching about it when I was visiting Rosemary in Minnesota right before one of the speaking engagements. It's very powerful, and it includes power generation. It includes power generation with it. So you have to understand, in order to do good works with the Kundalini, you need to be able to understand that divinity has no limitations, but you do. Divinity working through you, as certainly within, say, a power prayer context, it can be quite powerful. It can be instantaneous as well.
Because it just comes out of me to do it, like as if I'm being pushed to do it, I feel like the Kundalini speaks to me through my dreams and through my visions. Like I'll have like a vision of something, and then I'll know exactly like what the Kundalini is trying to say to me. I just wanted to know, in the process that I'm.
This is good, Beatrice. I'm not gonna let you glissando away from that subject. I think you're right on target with this, my dear.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying attention. These are like the downloads that I was discussing earlier. The download is to give that healing. So you obey the Kundalini and you give that healing. The download is to really not take credit for it, but to understand where the credit is coming, and to give gratitude for where that credit is coming from. So you're doing well on many, many different fronts, Beatrice.
There was another question that I wanted to ask you. I feel very blessed that I have the Kundalini. To me, the way I look at it, having the Kundalini, I feel like the Kundalini saved my life because it has made me more aware of my surroundings, my behavior, the way I think. I feel more calm. I feel more at peace with myself, and I'm very happy that I have the Kundalini. I just wanted to know, do you think that I would be awoken, like in the progress where I'm at right now? Is it going to be soon, or how long does it take for a person to wait to be awoken?
It's going to be different for every person. There is no set time limit. When your karma and your interaction with the Kundalini reaches a certain point, then that spinal sweep will occur and that awakening will occur. If I were you, though, Beatrice, I'd be doing those safeties twice a day.
I do the safeties every day. Every day. I'm very conscious of my behavior, and everything that I go through, I make sure that I watch my behaviors, my thinking, everything. And I've been doing this for a very long time. Once I understood that I had the Kundalini, I've been practicing the safeties for a very long time. And I noticed that
you've been doing the 5 Tibetans, and you've been doing the tongue up, and you've been doing the chin lock and the finger locks for a long time, you say?
Okay. I was doing exercise, jogging. I was jogging and running. I don't do the 5 Tibetans. I was doing the tongue up, but I stopped. I do it whenever I get a chance. But I just wanted to ask you another question. Maybe if you might know this. I was watching this one video, and there was a person that was talking about the Kundalini. He says that the Kundalini is the tongue, and the top lip is Lord Shiva, and the bottom lip is Shakti. Do you know anything about this?
I think they're just ascribing meanings that don't necessarily have to exist. I would not give that a lot of credence. That's just like calling the penis Shiva and the vagina Shakti. I mean, you can name body parts till the cows come home. You can say that the left big toe is the Shakti and the right big toe is the Shiva. You can also say that the left hand is Shakti and the right hand is Shiva. And when you fold your hands together and you interlock those fingers, oh my gosh, well, now you're in an awakening format. I mean, they can say anything they want, Beatrice. They don't have to be right. They can say it and people will think they're right. Because there's so little information about the Kundalini that people can really understand and people can really get a clue about that. A lot of these folks will come online and make some grandiose statement, like the upper lip and the lower lip. And, it doesn't really, really matter. And it's not necessarily true.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to know if you knew about that. But, you're right. It's really not necessary. It's not necessary to put names on body parts.
Right.
Do you think in this country the Kundalini is going to, because we live in a Western country and this is a topic that is not really known for too many people. So I don't really discuss it. I have family members that know that I have it, but that's because I educated them and they have books and they've read it and they understand my situation and they know what I've been going through. But like for the rest of society, they don't understand, they don't know. Do you think that there could be a change in this country where this information is going to change the way people will understand about the Kundalini?
Well, yeah, I think there's a definite movement going on right now. I think a lot of people are trying to ascribe ascension symptoms as they're looking at Kundalini symptoms and they're calling it something else. I don't know, maybe it's an ego thing with them or whatever. But with the advent of the internet, people's knowledge base about the Kundalini has greatly expanded, and as that expansion has occurred, more and more people are beginning to self-diagnose themselves as not being schizophrenic or not being bipolar, definitely having a Kundalini experience, such as yourself, Beatrice. I think within our lifetime we could see a shift towards a greater understanding. I mean, you got a psychologist like Dr. Jan, and those psychologists that actually have the Kundalini, those MDs that actually have the Kundalini, how long can they continue to spout the misinformation and the disinformation that the pharmaceutical companies are putting into the populations regarding Kundalini? It is not a spiritual emergency. It is not bipolarism or schizophrenia. It just isn't those things. Not to say that those things don't exist for people. They do, certainly, but not within a Kundalini context. And just because, they may share a few of the symptoms doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is mentally ill that has Kundalini. And as a matter of fact, I would suggest that there's a great many people that are having Kundalini that are just being misdiagnosed as being mentally ill.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is true. I believe that because of what I had experienced in the beginning when I didn't know I had Kundalini. I was beginning to think that there was something wrong with me, but then I questioned that and I said, no, I never had a problem.
The more we do these shows right here, the more that beautiful people like yourself come on and are unafraid to talk about it in a public format. That amount of information leaches into the sociological environment, And just like the whole 100th monkey thing, people begin to get the intuitive information spontaneously at times. And this will send them onto the internet, and hopefully they'll find a good source of Kundalini information on the internet.
I see. Well, Chrism, thank you very much for all the information that you give to me. All of your videos are very helpful. They help me in my Kundalini process. And if it wasn't for you talking in such long detail about the Kundalini, I don't know what I would have thought. What would have happened to me? So I'm very thankful that I have you to talk to all of us who have the Kundalini. I'm just very appreciative of everything that you do.
And I'm appreciative of you being on this show and watching the videos and having such interesting and excellent questions to ask. Thank you, Beatrice, once again.
Thank you, Chrism. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You as well. And there you have it, folks. This is Beatrice. She asked some very good questions. Hopefully, some of those responses will help you as well. I'd like to turn it back a little bit to Cole Kundalini. And Cole writes, my entity experience has been so subtle that I didn't even know I had one in my energetic anatomy until I started purging at the seminar, which he did. It doesn't talk to me in words. It just places certain images into my head. Into my thought stream. I discovered through an experience this week that it can give me an urge to move my limbs that feels very similar to the kriyas I've been having. This makes me wonder, what is it that an entity cannot do? Well, Cole, without your permission, it can't do that much of anything, to be honest with you. You just let the Kundalini move your limbs, and you forget about what that entity does. You have to just really practice at not paying attention to it. I remember seeing the entity. The entity was immature, definitely, something of a corrupting influence. And so you do your very, very, very best not to pay attention to it, not to allow it to move your body this way or that. You don't try to evict it, because that's just, that can actually trench it in even deeper. You just take the idea that this entity is there and begin to ignore it. Begin to control your mind. This is the big test with entities, is you control what part of your mind you're listening to, and you control what part of your mind you're acting on. You control what part of your thought process you're going to make decisions from. And you never, ever let the entity make any decisions for you. You don't let it, coerce you to do this. You don't let it try on your body for size, so it doesn't get to have access to your motor control. You take that away from it. So there you have it. I mean, the entities, they try to take over as much as they can, but you have to stop them. You're the one that has seniority over your body. You're the only one that has seniority over your body. And you take that seniority and you keep it. Nothing gets to share that body with you without your permission. Okay? So there we have it. And I would like to welcome, as I said before, Josephine. And Josephine is at her work right now, and she works with the little ones, the really, 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 really little ones that are having a hard time right now, the neonates. And so I would like to say a special prayer for all the neonates that Josephine is working with right now. Since all of us will just say a special prayer for the neonates, that they may come through cleanly and clearly and intact with full mobility of mind, body, emotions, and spirit. And I would also like to welcome Brooke. I see Brooke is tuned in, and she is on her cell phone. Hello, Brooke. So there we have it, and I see Cole is typing. If anybody else has a question about their Kundalini Awakening scenario, feel free to call 934-0026. I'm going to bring Her Holiness, the Santara, back onto the program. Hopefully she's not waylaid or otherwise occupied.
She is here.
Ah, good. So
you always sound so surprised.
What?
You always sound so surprised when I go, I'm here.
Well, I'm just not hearing an echo off of tiles, and so I'm kind of grateful for that. So do you have any questions off the groups that I can work with you on?
Indeed, there are a few questions. So I'll begin, yeah? So the first one is, be that I, my higher self, before entering this body, chose exactly when and how to awaken and rise Kundalini.
Well, I would suggest that that's a little bit backwards. I'll say the Kundalini allowed that higher self or that soul person to come into a body, and Kundalini determined when it itself would awaken within that person's body, and when that person's body will have reached enough refinement of karma, refinement of current life expression for that awakening to occur. Okay, the higher consciousness does not get to choose that. That is a process of divinity. Divinity chooses when it will awaken, not the psychology or the higher self of the individual. Over.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so ever since my awakening, my whole body sways when I meditate like a serpent, and I have no doubt it is Shakti. Sometimes I'm aware of it and other times not, because then it's when the people in my yoga class mention it to me. So this person is asking, do other people experience this too?
Do they get hungry when they see a mouse?
Yes. Sorry?
Right. Do they get hungry when they see a mouse?
That's the second time you've asked that question. I suppose the answer is yes, isn't it? Yes, people with Kundalini out to, yes. But do you want to expand on that in any way?
Well, that is a natural expression of the Kundalini when it's coming through a person in meditation. You will often become, you're at the base of your spine, a toroidal activity will occur. That toroidal activity can sometimes start. What was that? Oh,
ignore it. Just ignore it.
That's you, isn't it?
I just make the teeniest noise, and you hear it. It's just ignore it, please.
So that toroidal movement can be up and back or side to side, but eventually it'll turn into a circular movement that coincides with the toroidal movement that the Kundalini is bringing to the person through itself. And that is a very, very natural, that is a very normal phenomena to have with the Kundalini. And definitely embrace it. Don't try to stop it. Don't let people tell you, oh, that's not right. You're supposed to be still when you're meditating. You can move as much as that Kundalini wants you to move. Let this be the beginning of your surrendering into the Kundalini, surrendering control of your body. Let the body do as it needs to do when you're meditating, and especially if it's going side to side or in a circular motion. That is really, really a positive, beneficial symptom of the Kundalini. Over.
Thank you. Another question. Has anyone experienced chest pain among Kundalini Awakening members? I have felt light blockage whenever energy has stifled. For the last few days, I have felt a lump in my chest. And I do feel some very negative reactions like anger and some things coming. Yes, what's your view on this? So they're asking about chest pain.
So the chest pain is common. Chest pain is very common with Kundalini awakened people, especially if you have a blockage in the chest. And most people do. Most people will have blockages that deal with self-love and love of others and acceptance and forgiveness and tolerance and gratitude. These are all heart chakra manifestations. So yeah, it's a normal thing to have chest pain, but if you have any concern whatsoever, you just make it on down to that ER and you let them check you out. You let them hook you up, especially if you have good insurance. You let them hook you up. You let them run through all the tests, all the different stress tests that they want to do, just to make sure that your heart is doing everything that it needs to do. And if it's Kundalini, they'll typically sit you down and say, Miss Santara, yes, we haven't found anything wrong with your heart. Maybe it's just a little bit of anxiety, and maybe you need to have a little bit of a pinty poo right after you come here and just calm down a little bit. Right, Santara?
Sorry, absolutely.
Pinty poo?
Yes.
A pinty poo would be a little.
It's amazing.
A little bit of what the Irish people call beer. Now,
what
Cole,
do you call it?
Cole is writing again, and he says, in response to the question of the previous caller, I have a feeling that light-bearing plants are one of the only things that will convince the majority of the scientific community that there is something beyond their current materialistic paradigm. How will they embrace the Kundalini without their use? They have no reference points for the experience. Well, I mean, you can actually have the Kundalini awaken, Cole, but yeah, for the majority, I think that a light-bearing plant would be helpful. Entheogens, yes, that would be the correct term for that, Atlanta Seeker. And Cole, I have to agree with your opinion, and you are not incorrect with that at all. I think that entheogens and plant teachers such as ayahuasca or San Pedro or any of the light-bearing plants that are not toxic have something very, very positive to teach a person. And so, yeah, thank you for writing that, Cole. Next question there, Miss Amelia.
Okay, next question. Hello, I'd like to know if some of you have developed psoriasis with your Kundalini process. I have, and I don't know if it is related to Kundalini.
Well, Miss Amelia, I'm going to turn that question right back to you. Do you know anybody that may have developed temporary psoriasis?
Well, yes, sir, I do. I developed it myself. I had what people would have described as psoriasis on my face, on my neck and the back of my neck for about 5 weeks. I never had this before.
And on your hair and in your ears.
Yeah.
And on your neck, and on your arms, and your legs. And...
No, I did not have it in my arms and legs. No, I didn't. It was just in inverted commas. It was quite severe. And I never had this before.
Amelia's eyes swelled shut. She looked like a blonde Asian.
Oh, it was well, gray-haired actually. But it was quite horrendous, you know. And because I have Kundalini, because this isn't something that I have ever had before, obviously, yes, to the question, you know, is it related to Kundalini? Yes, of course it was. And it was really, you know, yeah. So what else can I say? It affected me in very many ways. Why did I get it? There was a few reasons. I learned a lot. It was about my ego. I mean, my ego responded to it. I was so embarrassed. There was a lot of ego things came up for me because I looked awful. I did not look like me. I was meeting new people. It was just, there was a lot of stuff.
I didn't know who she was. You know, she came up and there was this woman, you know, and she's just like, and it wasn't until I heard her speak that I knew it was Amelia.
You heard the Irish accent, yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, so for the person who's asking the question, yes, it is related to Kundalini.
Yeah,
and
you
it was
can
a
get
detox.
it. You can get it. And you want to not itch it. You don't want to itch it. You don't want to scratch it. It's just fairly common with the Kundalini crowd, so don't think that anything is wrong if you're having that. You know, it's a natural, normal process. Just let it go. Relax with it. Don't panic, especially for those of you that are really, really, really tied into how you look. How you look. You know, people that are putting makeup on and getting the hair just right and all of these things. And it's going to make, if it's on your face, it's going to make you look not like you'd like to look. But you just be patient.
The interesting thing is, I would have said, I'm not that pushed about how I look. I don't wear makeup. I don't, blow dry my hair. I'm very cool and laid back about how I look, actually. Oh, no.
No.
That wasn't true. So that in itself was really interesting, because I would have projected that as being how I am, straight from the ego, of course. But and another thing, you're very right, because I was with you, I was blessed because you were there, and it was easier for me not to get into a panic. And when things were, I wanted to fix it, and I wanted to do this, and I wanted to do that, and I learned how to accept it and let it be, and trust that it was having its way with me, in the sense of there were things it was going to evolve at the pace that the Kundalini decided, and according, I think, to how I surrendered and relaxed into it and learned what it was I needed to learn.
Didn't it have like kind of a leprosy type effect? Didn't you lose a couple of fingers there in Port Townsend?
No.
Did we mistake them for French fries?
Yes, and just for people, it was kind of funny, not?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was...
I actually have photographs. I should put them up. I was like a different person. It was quite amazing. But it was a good thing at the end of the day. I mean, it really, really was. It was amazing what I learned. It really was. I could still do without it, but, not really.
Well, let's hear the next question, my dear.
Okay, next question. What about antidepressants for the K-active person? They got activated while on them.
Absolutely no antidepressants. Of course, I got to preface that by saying I am in no way a medical technologist or a medical MD or anybody that has any clue about current standards of government-supported healthcare techniques. Therefore, anything I say is not to be construed as medical advice in any way whatsoever, just merely the opinion of one uneducated, Kundalini awakened man. There. Having said that, for Kundalini people, absolutely no types of medications of those levels. Absolutely not.
So if a person is on them when they become activated, Chrism,
get off them.
Should get off them. Yeah, okay.
Get off them. And start living your life from a position of surrender to the Kundalini. The Kundalini will adjust your body chemistry to give you exactly what you need, when you need it, and how you need it. What you need to do also is to pay attention on what it has you consume, what kind of food it has you eat, what kind of compact protein does it have you take, how well are you hydrated, how well what are your vitamin levels? What are the electrolyte levels in your bloodstream? What kind of exercise are you getting? What kind of sleep are you getting? What kind of appreciation do you have? A joie de vivre or a love of life do you have? There's a lot to be considered within that.
Okay. Thank you.
Know what I mean? Jean?
Amen. Yes.
Yeah.
Are we ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay. For goodness sake. Sorry, Chrism, my thing is after going blank, and I'm waiting for. I don't like working with just an iPad.
No kidding.
Okay, it's coming. Yeah, it's difficult. Okay. There is a question, Chrism, about and I'm compressing it here on memory now because my screen is blank. Okay, when a person has Kundalini awakening, they're aware of the energy that they have. They're aware of radiance and that. What if a person with Kundalini has fear for their children that is, say, rooted in their own childhood? Well, do we project all of these fears onto our children in a different way when we have Kundalini? I don't know if I'm expressing that right, but it's if my memory serves me, is with a fear of being concerned for the child that the deep-rooted fears of the Kundalini mom would enter into him.
Well, you have 6 kids. How did you handle that?
Stop. No, I pass on that. Okay, maybe I didn't express it very well. I mean, I suppose all mothers, that applies probably to all mothers, but it's just, I think because the person had Kundalini, I don't know, Chrism, I'm gone blank. Can I pass?
I think indeed we do pass on our fears and our prejudices to our children, especially if we don't have any problem, any overt problem with our fears and our prejudices. I think it's very important to stay in as much serenity and as much surrender to your Kundalini as you possibly can, especially when something comes up to you that is foreign to you, like a Kriya or an entity or some sort of phenomena associated with the Kundalini. Don't go straight into fear. Fear does not have to be the first option. And if you do go straight into it, go straight out of it as quick as you can and realize that Kundalini is a natural part of human development. It is natural. It is exactly what is supposed to happen. And everything is good with that. And let that be the radiance that you give to your children. Let that be the message. Let that be the understanding and the education that you give to not only your kids, but all the family members that you live with. Even perfect strangers can take that information and be blessed by that level of information. Let Kundalini flow in an unafraid environment, a no-fear environment. That's the real important thing. And that teaches kids on many, many different levels. It teaches them not to be afraid of the unknown. It teaches them to be a little more optimistic than pessimistic. It teaches them that divinity is indeed a real force and therefore is a real thing to be able to talk with within themselves, to be able to work with within themselves, to be able to go on the path of the Kundalini path and to engender as much refinement as they can possibly do in this lifetime. So I think there are many, many, many levels of positivity that can be had by people that are having the Kundalini around their kids. You just have to choose not to take in the negative, hurtful, fearful attitudes and programs that so many on the internet and in the medical industry like to put out there. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Thank you very much. And just if I can add now, that if that programming is coming from ourselves, from our own upbringing, it's something we can change. We can change that, and even on a Monday, just begin to do exactly what you've said and let go of whatever we've done for the past year or 2 years or however long we have been otherwise with a child or children. We can change that instantly and bring the safeties and that loving behaviour that you spoke about. We can bring that into being with our children from this point onwards if we choose to.
Right,
Over.
right.
Okay, thank you, Chrism. Okay, is it true that when Kundalini Shakti passes through each chakra, it gives the person divine powers, godly powers?
Well, I wouldn't say that
coming up.
It doesn't give them powers, it gives them pairs. Pairs. P-A-A-R-S, which would be the United States Southern linguistic pronunciation of power. No, it doesn't automatically give a person power. And if a person is going for the power, go somewhere else for it. Kundalini is very, very, very conditional in how it distributes certain powers or what we call Siddhic skills or exalted skills. You will not get to throw cars over the building. You will not necessarily get to fly. You may not be faster than a speeding bullet or to be able to stop a train by just merely holding out your arm. I mean, this is not a superhero movie. Kundalini is not something that you see on the big screen. And, you know, it's not Iron Man like Amelia first thought it was. You know, she called me up and said, is it Iron Man? Is Mr. Downey?
Wonder Woman, actually.
No, it is not about power. It is not about wielding power. It is about surrender. It is about giving yourself into the divine. And if you do that in an honest fashion, well then, yeah, some certain skills can be gifted to a person. But it's not a guarantee. Plenty of Kundalini people don't have a single city at all. Over.
Is the ultimate purpose of a Kundalini arousal to be in union with God?
Yes.
Over?
Yes.
Okay. That might be it, Chrism.
Oh my God, really?
I know, yeah.
You were so bad.
Now, there was actually, I know, that's just that's an unusual. Ashley actually posted, I don't know if you've seen it or not, it was a lovely pose of sitting cross-legged and in meditation, and he was speaking about how this pose has made his meditation much easier by aligning his spine, and it was really, really lovely. But I remembered as well, and I just made this comment, you don't have to sit in easy pose, and you have, you talk, don't you, about sitting on a chair just as an alternative, because easy pose isn't something that everybody can do, and sit cross-legged. So you can sit on a chair. Can you just talk about another way of sitting in meditation? Sit in a chair, feet on the ground, isn't it?
Yes, sit in a straight back chair, like a wooden chair, and scoot your rear end out to the edge of the chair so that you're only sitting on like 5 inches of the chair, 5 or 6 inches of the chair. And keep your feet flat on the floor. Put your hands in the Gyan Mudra on your knees. Keep your spine as straight as you feel. Don't try to hyper straighten it though. Just let it be normal, because the normal spine isn't in a subtle S curve anyway. And do your meditations in that position. That's just fine.
And that's fine. There was another comment about the Rosen method, and suddenly somebody had done the Rosen method, and they suddenly had no feelings. It was like just no feelings at all. Do you know, I mean, can you say something? Is that something that comes with Kundalini Awakening, or is it because of the method they were
I would
doing?
say it's probably more along the line of the Rosen method, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so that's a different thing to the detachment. Well, Chrism,
did you look at the new caller we have down there?
No, I'm about to do that, though.
Okay, all right. So,
okay.
Yeah. So
going to do that, Chris.
Thank you. So, yeah, you want to, this whole idea, Lauren White writes, India did produce an old TV show about someone with all the awakened power. He says he saw some on YouTube, and, that's about as close as you're going to get to it, really, in the Western formats, in the Western awakened formats, because the ego is so strongly involved in how we in the West live our lives, and we're in the process of surrendering our lives to the Kundalini if we're doing it in the most beneficial way. But many people, I should say, will have a go at resisting the Kundalini. And resisting the Kundalini is not the best way to get those special powers, and so it's very important that people realize that it's not about the powers. The more you want those powers, the less likely it is you're going to get them. So you need to understand that. The more you want the power, the less you're going to get it. The less you want the power, the more neutrality you're in, and the more likely you're going to get it. Okay. Did you get that, Centaura?
I did, Chris, and indeed I did. Can we call Rosemary on?
Oh, Her Holiness. Here we come. Chrism and Amelia to Rosemary. Come in, Rosemary.
Yes, Hello, I've been listening, and I want to say one amazing opportunity to deepen whatever is your Kundalini journey is in attending a seminar that I can vouch for. And the one I know that's next to Minnesota is November 14th and 15th, and Kristen will be here the week before doing talks around the cities and the area. And my information is rosemarygat usinternet.com, 651-452-3161. And if anybody's interested, there is a Minnesota Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and I've been attending their meetings, and so our seminar will be listed on the national directory for that Chamber of Commerce, and anybody coming into the cities looking to find something like that, they'll find it.
Very nice, Rosemary, and I will agree with you. Coming to a seminar definitely cements a relationship that you will have with your Kundalini. Not only just coming to it, but meeting other people that have the Kundalini, interacting with that energetic field. I mean, it makes a big difference to be in a room full of Kundalini enhanced or awakening or activated people. So yeah, Rosemary, thank you so much for your announcement.
You're welcome.
Put you over
and
here.
Chrism,
yes?
Can we announce London as well? Would that be a good idea?
Go right ahead, my dear.
Yeah. So Chrism is coming to London at the end of August. He's going to be speaking at a conference. The conference is called the Conference for Consciousness and Human Evolution, and it's happening on the bank holiday in England. It is the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th of August, and Chrism speaks on the 29th. And there is a website that you can go to get more information about that, and it's www.tcchevelation.com. and you will get the information there. So Chrism is coming on Saturday the 29th of August to speak at that conference. And he's also giving a workshop the following week. And I think the information is also available on the website. But you can contact us as well on Facebook, Suntara on Facebook, if you're going to be in London at that time, and we can have a chat and we can talk about meeting up as well. So that's it, Chrism. It's good to announce that. That's coming shortly, only in a few weeks' time, really.
Yeah. I'll be leaving for Europe on the 12th of August, and I believe that I'll have a bit of a layover in the Emerald Isle.
You will, hopefully you will, yes. Before you head on to Europe, that would be lovely. I'm looking forward to it.
The Emerald Isle in Europe? Is that not considered Europe?
Yes, mainland Europe. We're special. We talk about Europe over there. Because Europe is the mainland, so.
Yeah.
Even though we are part of it, this is true.
No, I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to doing the speaking engagement. Greg Braden will be there too, so it'll be nice to meet him and some of the other speakers too. So if you can at all make it into London at that time, and any of you that are in Europe, I strongly would send you an invitation, and I'd love to see you, love to get together and meet with you. I think it'd be a very positive, conducive thing to do. All right, well, it looks like we're down to our last 12 minutes. I think it's been a bit of a challenging show with regards to the repeats and the echoes at first. And so, once again, if you've listened this far, I'd like to say thank you for persevering through the beginning of the show with all of those echoes and whatnot. And I'd like to thank the people that are watching this in the archives. I would like to thank the people that are on the chat room right now. I just see Matthew Collins signed up. And good to have you here, Matt. And then, of course, we have Rosemary, and we have Joey, Her Holiness Joey. We have Eileen, Santara, and we have Saint Josephine here in the, listening on the telephone. So thank you, everybody, for listening in the various formats. Thank you, Brooke, for listening in the various formats that you have. And I would like to turn the microphone over to Amelia. Any last words, my dear?
No last words. It was an interesting show. With the technical stuff that goes on, and I also had some issues here with my iPad. So, So I think we're finishing a little bit earlier, Chrism, are we, than normal. So catch up with you all next week. Hi, everybody in the chat room. I always miss when I can't see you. Love to you all, and catch up again next week at the same time, Chrism. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone in the chat room. Thank you, all the callers. Thank you, all the listeners on the computers. And thank you for listening in the archives. See you next week, everybody.